And what I'm saying is that those kind of central banking based monolithic systems are going to lose, and they're going to be replaced with decentralized systems that put, more of the power in the hands of the people as opposed to governments at scale. And
Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video breakdown, we're going to continue to do our due diligence to explain to you all why now is the opportune moment to start to learn how to get your digital assets working for you. We're going to be discussing and talking about some ongoing developments in the XRPL ecosystem. We're going to be discussing and talking about DeFi on Bitcoin. And then I'm also going to be showing you guys insights from some industry leading experts. For example, we're going to be listening to some panelists today from Abra. Abra's integrated prime service and wealth advisory platform leverages deep DeFi and institutional risk management expertise. We're going to be listening to individuals from Hilbert Capital, who is, again, a large investment firm. We're also going to be listening to individual representatives from Van Eck and Ledger, all telling you guys that right now is the opportune moment to start to pay attention to DeFi. So if you all enjoy these deep research dives, again, no hopium and hype, and just sound solid research, then do us a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. And by the end of this, if you are interested in learning more about DeFi and want to see how we are getting our digital assets working for us in the CYPRX community, then you guys can always head over to CYPRXtrading.com. You can tap into our Wealth 28 Club DeFi University. All right. So I want to start here, okay? Because again, you have a lot of individuals out there in the crypto community that still think that DeFi, it's like this scam, it's very uncertain and this and that. And I want to continue to prove to you guys that that is not the current environment that we live in anymore. DeFi has matured significantly since back in 2022, and they tell you all this directly to your face. So listen to a representative. This is the co-founder of Chainlink, who just recently met with the president at the White House. And again, I want you all to listen to what he says about what they discussed and talked about.
The first thing that struck me was the seniority of the government representatives in the room, even before the president joined us. So you had the Secretary of Commerce, then you had the Secretary of the Treasury, you had David Sachs, you had the Congressional Whip Tom Emmer, you had Brian Stile, the chair of the Subcommittee on Digital Assets, you had a number of other key government representatives, key people from the regulatory side at the SEC and the CFTC. So very, very senior people. These were not just their representatives. Their representatives and the people below them were also there, but the very, very key senior people were there themselves. So some of the common themes at the Crypto Summit were around Bitcoin and the Bitcoin reserve, since that recently happened. How should that evolve? Other common themes were the process of proper regulation and making sure that there are actually clear regulations that allow fintechs and financial institutions and DeFi protocols to all participate in the US financial system with legal clarity.
DeFi protocols being able to participate in the new US financial system. That is a freaking huge statement and a complete shift from previous perspectives. And it requires us as retail investors to also shift our previous perspective that existed maybe prior to 2022 after the FTX collapse, Celsius, Three Arrows, so on and so forth. Okay, the market and the industry itself has matured and the infrastructure has improved significantly since then. And we cannot remain attached to the past, right? Now, here is another video breakdown. An individual, I believe this is the CEO of Consensus, sitting next to Robbie Mitchnick, and listen to what he says about how now financial institutions have the ability to legally participate in DeFi. Take a second here and listen.
And have solver networks take care of what we want done, and probably take 2 seconds to get things done. And in the United States of America, it is now safe and explicitly legal to be a blockchain company. So that's great for us because it's been hard for a few years under the previous regime. But it's also really interesting for organizations like BlackRock, for software developers in TradFi or in Web2, because now they can feel comfortable holding tokens, participating in DeFi, or building applications.
So if he's sitting on stage, leaning over to individuals like gentlemen from BlackRock saying now TradFi institutions can feel comfortable participating in DeFi. What do you think as a retail investor that means for us, right? Albeit, yes, I get it. 110% regulations are not firmly implemented and soundly put in place. But that does not mean you should ignore your education. That does not mean you should not start taking advantage of reading documents, listening to these panel discussions, taking a mentorship program, going through course material, reading research on your own as to how to start to learn to get your digital assets working for you. Because time and time again, we're going to consistently prove that that is to be the new trend. That is exactly what these financial institutions want to do. They do not just want to hold non-yield bearing assets. They want to be able to put their liquidity to work. And again, in today's video breakdown, I'm going to show you that's to be the case. So I always want to come at you guys with the realest information that a lot of people are not paying attention to. You cannot disprove those comments that were just made by highly reputable individuals in this space. Now, just to show you guys that we've been talking about this for quite some time, I'm actually extremely hyped about these ongoing developments on the XRPL because we have been talking about these ongoing developments on the XRPL for some time. For example, back in July 2024, I said to you guys, last bull market cycle, XRP had no DeFi ecosystem helping boost momentum like ETH did. That has all changed for the first time ever. This ride will be different, utility bull run or not, because the DeFi ecosystem alone on the XRPL is about to scale massively. And what did we just see recently posted by Pierce's Technology? This was, as of today, March 31st, 2025. The wait is over. We are excited to share that the XRPL EVM sidechain is now live on testnet. In this great collaborative effort between Ripple X Dev, XLR, Common Prefix, and Pierce's teams, we've been able to complete this critical milestone in preparation for the mainnet launch, which is now just around the corner. A new era of interoperability, programmability for XRP is upon us, right? And we already know the XRPL EVM sidechain is going to boost significantly DeFi primitives on the XRPL. I mean, DeFi primitives that we have never had access to, like lending, borrowing, staking, liquid staking, all of these things are going to be available for XRP holders. And it's almost as if the XRP community that has been so incentivized to battle the Ethereum community cannot comprehend that that is becoming available to us, when in reality, ETH holders, if you talk to them about DeFi and DeFi primitives on Ethereum, they're like, oh, this is old news, right? But for XRP investors, these options, these things, these solutions have never been available to us. That is exactly why you should start to learn, because these financial institutions that have been accumulating XRP, that want to hold XRP in the future, whether it's in the form of an ETF or the actual token itself, will want to generate yield and passive rewards on their XRP. So this fundamental piece goes on to talk about the XRPL EVM sidechain and how this could be a defining moment for the XRP ledger as Ripple's new DeFi roadmap aims to drive significant growth. Ripple's new DeFi roadmap is designed to attract new liquidity and developer interest to the XRP ledger ecosystem by addressing institutional needs and regulatory considerations. The new EVM sidechain, due to go live on mainnet in Q2 2025, will encourage more developers to build on the network. It aims to onboard developers from the EVM ecosystem into the XRPL framework by providing support for protocols that are not possible on XRPL legacy infrastructure, which can bring much broader visibility to the XRPL ecosystem. So if you're not too familiar with how to lend, how to borrow in a profitable manner, how to provide liquidity in liquidity pools without experiencing massive amounts of impermanent loss, right? How to start generating yield on your digital assets, then start to learn, because that is what's about to become available and is already, technically speaking, available for XRP holders in the now. You just have to know what you're doing. It's not something that you can just come on into and start doing randomly and magically. You actually have to learn it. So again, this is an important piece of education in this crypto niche, in this crypto sector, that if you ignore, you risk falling behind. You risk, closing yourself off to opportunities that you could have had instead of having to sell your digital assets for fiat currency that's decaying at a very rapid pace. And instead, you can hold on to your digital assets for a very long time and pay yourself in passive rewards by utilizing your digital assets in an active way, right? Turning your idle digital assets into active digital assets. I cannot stress enough, now is the time to do that. So let me continue to show you guys that financial institutions are 110% doing this, all right? As I mentioned, we're going to be listening to individual representatives from large asset management firms, from investment firms, from large institutional DeFi platforms. I shared this post with you guys here. Currently, right now in my low risk DeFi portfolio, I'm almost printing the average rent per month in Texas. As you can see here, I made this public for you guys in a small little short post. The average rent in Texas is around $1,891. And with my current DeFi strategy, which shifts based on market conditions, however, right now I'm earning around this amount. So with my staking portfolio on XLR, I'm making about $160 per month. My stablecoin portfolio is making anywhere between $400 to $600 per month. And on VFAT, which is a yield aggregation platform, I'm making anywhere between $500 to $800 per month. So in total, on the low end right now, in my low risk DeFi strategy, I'm making around $1,000 per month. And on the high end, I'm making around $1,500 per month. So again, these opportunities are available to us in the now if you're willing to take the risk. And myself and other mentors in the Wealth 28 Club community show how we are actively doing this in the now. But let me again come over here to institutional insights and perspectives so you guys can hear these people on stage tell you all that this is happening. So this is Matthew Siegel, head of digital asset research at VanEck, and listen to what he says here about the future of productive digital assets on Bitcoin.
Long term, the market for Ethereum ETFs could be bigger than Bitcoin, just from the simple view that the market for productive assets is a lot bigger than the market for gold. The lack of staking will definitely hurt that demand in the US. So we also have a VanEck Ethereum ETP in Europe, which recently introduced staking. We're up to about 70% staked on that product. And so offering a product that has zero is going to be, less interesting. My guess is that the staking limitations will not be permanent, that over the next year or two, we will be able to add that feature. And there's going to be lots of investors like the hedge funds who bought $5 billion worth of Bitcoin ETFs that are going to look to front run that type of development. And that's one thing where I think
that is huge. You have an individual representative from VanEck just said that individuals who bought $5 billion, right, worth of Bitcoin are going to want to front run these developments to start to take idle digital assets and earn passive rewards on them, whether it be through staking, liquidity providing, lending, borrowing. He mentioned how right now they're offering staking services through Ethereum and how those options are coming or going to be available on Bitcoin over the next year to 2 years. Hello, people. This is massive because, again, this proves that what we're posting here at CYPRX is coming from an institutional perspective. So, right, that's coming from a gentleman from VanEck. Look at what we posted to you guys just yesterday, March 30th, 2025. I said here, pay attention. We have been right this entire time. Institutional grade liquid staking built for mass adoption, providing users with liquidity without having to sell. We are entering into an era where we will never have to sell certain portions of our portfolio. We can now turn idle digital assets into working assets that generate us daily yield. This is a fundamental piece that came out just the other day in March 6, 2025. Lombard LBTC on Soy unleashes financial services for Bitcoin holders. Soy is increasingly becoming the Bitcoin liquidity capital of crypto. Today, LBTC, the first institutional grade liquid staked Bitcoin, is now available on Soy. And what does this do? It says right over here, this integration is a significant step forward as Soy continues building a robust ecosystem where Bitcoin holders can put their assets to work without friction. So this fundamental piece just goes to back what the gentleman from VanEck said, that these fundamental developments will continue to progress over time. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you don't know how to get your idle digital assets to work for you, then you should start to learn, because the institutions, as you all heard that gentleman mention, are going to want to front run these developments. This is physical proof that what we're talking about here at CYPRX is going to materialize. It's just going to take time. You do not want to come into DeFi after the financial institutions, just like most likely you have this belief that you did not want to come into crypto after the institutions. You don't want to get involved in DeFi after the institutions. Trust and believe that. You want to start to learn and educate yourself in the now, so you're comfortable, so you're aware of what options you have available to you to start generating yield. You do not have to risk your hard-earned capital to learn. I cannot stress enough. This is crazy what I'm showing you guys if you're watching this far. Okay, now let me continue down the rabbit hole. So this is the CEO of Ledger, Pascal G. I'm not going to butcher his last name. Now, just to back what it is that I posted, listen to what he says about Bitcoin and how, once DeFi on Bitcoin becomes unlocked, it's pretty much game over. Take a second here and listen. By the way, this is just posted on February 13th, 2025, has 207 views. To prove my point, nobody's paying attention to this type of information.
But this looks like little tests, and Bitcoin is still king. But as soon as you have DeFi on Bitcoin, you know, this is going to be super interesting to watch.
Yeah. As soon as you have DeFi on Bitcoin, this is going to be very interesting to watch, which again, you have different panelists on stage talking about the same exact thing. Why do you think that is? Because these highly intuitive individuals and representatives sit in on the same closed door meeting, sitting in the same regulatory environment behind these closed doors, meeting with these institutions, and they know what these banks are interested in. And they're interested in DeFi. They're interested in earning and generating yield. Last but not least, we have this gentleman here. This is the gentleman, I believe, is the CEO of this organization here, Abra. You guys can go take a look at this. They offer institutional risk management expertise to provide clients with an edge across trading, lending, borrowing, and investing. So DeFi primitives. And listen to what he says when asked the question, do you think DeFi and earning and generating yield will be the future?
But okay, to wrap up, I'm interested in your views on DeFi and how, you know, you think the overall financial system might evolve, considering the things that we're talking about, you know, changes in policy and macro, just like overall increasing interest in crypto. Do you see a world where, you know, blockchain becomes the underlying rails of finance and DeFi becomes the backbone of it, like similar to what you're doing, you know, like you're interfacing with investors, but using DeFi in the back end. Do you see that like being the norm, or will it continue to be still niche?
Yeah, I think what we call DeFi banking today will soon just be banking. And all banking systems will be based upon DeFi-like rails. Just like we talked about earlier, that stock trading should be done based upon tokens, right? And governance tokens should accrue dividends. I think banks themselves should be using DeFi rails that use open marketplaces for lending and yield, and they operate 24/7, and that's how it's going to work. Meaning it won't be called DeFi, it'll just be called banking, right? You don't. I mean, most people have no idea how the inner workings of a money market or a repo system work. No idea. They don't even know what the words mean, and so, but we just call it banks. And what I'm saying is that those kind of central banking based monolithic systems are going to lose, and they're going to be replaced with decentralized systems that put, you know, more of the power in the hands of the people as opposed to governments at scale. And maybe some of these banks don't exist today.
So I'll pause it right there. He talks about how DeFi puts the power of banks back in the hands of the people. He also called out people's education, right? Most people don't know these financial terms. They lack financial literacy. Don't be that type of person that lacks financial literacy in this new digital environment that we are headed into, when you literally have a supercomputer most likely in the palm of your hand right now watching this video, or at your fingertips with the laptop or a computer, right? You can literally just start to Google this stuff. I'm not sitting here encouraging you guys to go out there and deploy your hard-earned digital assets right now in the DeFi ecosystem, start generating yield right now. But there is no excuse for a lack of education as we continue to progress with this ongoing digital transformation. Learn how to get your digital assets working for you. We offer a DeFi university for you guys to start in a trustworthy manner, to soak up information and see, you know, from reputable sources how we are already earning and generating yield right now in the moment. You guys can physically see that step by step, how we are doing that in the now. Again, head over to CYPRXtrading.com. And if you don't want to take that approach, then at least start enlightening yourself, start reading documentation, start looking up regulations that are going on. Don't forget that if you guys want some free resources, you can always head over to the CYPRX YouTube and you can click on the yield playlist and you can watch the yield playlist, where we have a whole entire curated playlist of different video breakdowns discussing and talking about these exact topics. Hopefully that will enlighten you a little bit further, and are some free resources that you can tap into. As always, many blessings to you guys, bringing you all the realest research and the realest information, showing you guys institutional perspectives. As always, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to the platform. We do appreciate the love and the support. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video breakdown.